In the heart of Punjab's dusty countryside, there lay a village half forgotten by time, Mehrunpur. A place where the wind carried whispers, and every shadow told stories the elders never dared to complete. At the edge of this village, hidden behind overgrown vines and rusted gates, stood the infamous Mehrun Haveli, a towering relic of a once glorious family now consumed by silence. For decades, villagers passed by it with a silent nod, or with heads turned away. Children were warned never to throw stones at its broken windows, and teenagers dared each other to step inside but rarely did. The Haveli had stood empty for over 30 years, its walls holding secrets too dark for daylight. Until now. Arrival of Zara Khan. Zara Khan had never seen Mehrun Haveli before. Raised in London, she had grown up hearing bedtime tales of its grandeur and terror from her late grandmother. Her father had severed all ties with the village when he moved abroad, but in death, the ties tightened once again. With the reading of his will came the unexpected. Zara was now the sole heir to Mehrun Haveli. At 28, Zara was a confident woman, a journalist by profession, and skeptical of anything that couldn't be verified with evidence. Ghost stories? Folklore? She had spent her life debunking them. Yet, something in her pulled toward Mehrunpur. Perhaps it was nostalgia, perhaps curiosity, or maybe a longing to reconnect with a heritage she never truly knew. She arrived on a dusty afternoon. The village hadn't changed much since the 1980s. It seemed ox carts still moved alongside motorcycles, and women drew water from wells with grace passed down generations. Her presence drew eyes, some curious, some frightened. At the gate of Mehrun Haveli, she paused. The iron arch above read Bismillah, 1912, half-eaten by rust. The heavy doors creaked open as the caretaker, an old man named Fakir Baba, emerged from within. "You shouldn't stay after Maghrib, Bibi," he warned. "The Haveli it remembers." Zara smiled faintly. "I'm not afraid of memories, Baba." He said no more. Inside the Haveli, the interior was as grand as it was eerie. High ceilings with crumbling frescoes, a chandelier hanging by a thread, and corridors that seemed to stretch longer than they should. Dust lay thick, but under it, the architecture whispered royalty. Rooms were filled with antique furniture, photographs of ancestors, and artifacts that seemed oddly untouched by time. As Zara explored, she felt a strange stillness, not of abandonment, but of presence. As if the house had just exhaled, noticing someone had returned. That night, she unpacked her camera and voice recorder. She wanted to document everything, perhaps write a piece on forgotten heritage homes of Pakistan. She was setting up in the main drawing room when she noticed a portrait, a woman in a green sari with striking eyes that seemed to follow her. On the bottom, the nameplate read, Begum Mehrun Khan, 1943. Zara leaned closer. The woman bore an uncanny resemblance to her grandmother. First night, unsettling whispers. The Haveli was quiet. Too quiet. Zara had planned to stay in one of the old guest rooms, freshly cleaned by Baba. She lay in bed with her laptop, writing notes, when she heard it, a soft, dragging sound from the corridor, like silk being pulled across marble. She paused. Then a faint whisper. "Zara?" She froze. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't imagination. Grabbing her phone, she tiptoed out, recording. The corridor was empty. The sound had stopped. But her phone screen showed something strange. Faint static lines appeared where there should have been clear video, as if the camera was struggling to focus on something invisible. She went back to bed, laughing nervously to herself. Jet lag. "That's all," she muttered. But the whisper returned, this time closer. The locked room. The next morning, she confronted Fakir Baba. "Is there a room here that's always locked?" The old man paled. "The West Wing, Begum's chamber. No one has entered there in 30 years. Why?" "She locked it the night she died. They say she was talking to shadows before she passed." Zara's journalistic instinct kicked in. "Where's the key?" He hesitated, then pulled out a small brass key wrapped in red cloth. Inside Begum Mehrun chamber. The door creaked open like it hadn't in decades. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of sandalwood and rose. Everything was preserved: a vanity with hairbrushes, a diary, and a large mirror covered in black cloth. Zara walked in, filming. Her fingers trailed across the diary, its leather soft with age. She opened it. They think I'm mad. But he comes to me every night. My son, he is dead, but he speaks from the mirror. He says the curse will end only when the blood returns. I am the last. Zara blinked. Her breath hitched. A chill ran through her spine. She turned toward the mirror. Something beneath the cloth moved. She stepped closer. The cloth was heavy. She gripped it, then in one swift motion, pulled it off, and screamed. Zara's scream echoed through the chamber, bouncing off walls that had not heard a human voice in decades. In the uncovered mirror, her reflection was missing. Where she should have been, there was only the empty room, except something else moved in the mirror. A shadow. A silhouette of a woman with glowing eyes, reaching forward. And just as suddenly, the vision vanished. Zara stumbled back, heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. She blinked, and her reflection reappeared. Pale. Wide-eyed. Shaken. Her instinct screamed to leave, but something held her there. A force stronger than fear. A need to understand. The diary's dark secret. She clutched the old diary and ran to her room. Sitting under the weak light of a lantern, she flipped through its brittle pages. Begum Mehrunisa's writings were increasingly erratic, but one thing became clear: she believed the family was cursed. They came for him at midnight. My son, Farid. He saw what he wasn't meant to. The mirror is the doorway. It shows the other side. The blood must not mix. If it does, we are all lost. Zara's hands trembled. Her father never spoke of his childhood. Who was Farid? An uncle? A cousin? Why was nothing ever mentioned? She turned the last page. Taped inside was an old photograph, 3 children standing in front of the Haveli. One was her father. One was clearly Farid. And the third, a girl with glowing, unnatural eyes. Someone had scratched her face out. The truth from the village elder. The next morning, she went to visit the oldest man in the village, Chaudhry Imdad, who had been around since the time of the Begum. He sat beneath a banyan tree, sipping chai with trembling hands. Begum Mehrunisa, he muttered when she asked. She was not mad. She was cursed. Her family meddled with things they shouldn't have. Black mirrors. Occult books. It started with her grandfather, a man obsessed with living forever. Zara listened, horrified. They say the mirror isn't glass. It's a gate. One side shows you. The other side shows what you're hiding. And the girl in the photo? She asked. Chaudhry Imdad grew pale. That girl wasn't born. She was summoned. An entity. The family tried to bind her to protect them, but when Farid found out, he tried to stop it. He died. The girl vanished. But the curse remained. Zara asked in a whisper. What happened to the mirror? It waits, he replied. And now you've woken it. The mirror strikes. That night, the Haveli was alive. Not with sound, but with presence. The walls seemed to breathe. The wind carried voices. Zara locked herself in her room. But the mirror in Begum's chamber called to her. She heard it. Zara, return. She covered her ears. Her phone buzzed. A notification from the voice recorder she had left in the Begum's room earlier. She played it. Static. Then. You are the last blood. Complete the circle. Bring her back. Her blood ran cold. Possession. The next morning, Fakir Baba found her in the Begum's room, standing completely still in front of the mirror. Bibi. She turned. Her eyes weren't hers. They were dark. Empty. Like glass marbles. The same eyes as the girl in the photo. It's too late, she whispered. She's home. Then she collapsed. The ritual and the fire. Fakir Baba acted fast. He called Chaudhry Imdad, and together they performed a cleansing ritual. Old Sufi chants and smoke from sacred herbs filled the room. Zara writhed on the floor, screaming, whispering in voices that weren't hers. Until at last, a shadow burst forth from the mirror, shrieking like a banshee, and vanished into smoke. They dragged Zara outside. Behind them, the mirror cracked. Then, a fire erupted in the room, as though the Haveli itself had decided to purge the darkness. The West Wing burned all night. Epilogue: 1 year later. Zara returned to London, forever changed. She sold the Haveli's land and donated the money to orphanages across Punjab. But she kept one item, the diary of Begum Mehrunisa, locked away in her closet. Sometimes, when the house is quiet, she swears she hears something moving behind her bedroom mirror. But she doesn't look. Not anymore.